proceed.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. You know, I'm not so savvy with computer, you know, but I'm getting there. So just thank you for being.
Other thing, pastor thing.
Three, four, five.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Huh? Chicken and fries. Hey, you know, you have hold on, baby. You have bread there? Huh? What a burger? Half an hour. Yeah, half an hour. So come back 25 to 7.
Tariffs on China or ban more imports of products made with forced labor. The president says. And when you say, what do you mean by that?
And I know that it will be changed to where they're
Man, just get on. Damn.
Turn your mic off, Mo.
Entrusted in us to become helpers within our community. Our community are indeed in diverse need. They need chaplains as you and I. So we have that. So we have the help in ethical decisions and decision making and staff support and clergy contact and community or church coordination. So we are there to help to coordinate. As I said, we are help. We are helpers, or the word help, having enough loving people. Help is as the fingers, as I mentioned, just like if we sit there and take For instance, let's take a vehicle. Without the motor, the vehicle can't start. The vehicle can't progress to go forward. But without its components, it will not be able to give you the satisfactory for you to sit there and say, I'm going to enjoy this vehicle today. I'm going to ride this vehicle today. I'm going to depend on this vehicle today. So modern day chaplains are chaplains that are designed by God to help our clergy, our pastors, our church leaders to be able to be the extension that will go forth into our communities or other different institutions to be able to bring that support and that aid that the community needs. Chaplaincy may be provided by an institution, such as a general or a mental hospital, prison, schools, or college, by a business organization or the armed forces. And with that being said, you know, the chaplaincy had its inception during the beginning of World War II, when there was the Great War that was encountered, when they needed some chaplains to be able to assist the soldiers that were in the battlefield. So when you become a chaplain and you are sanctioned to walk in this chaplaincy, you are there to bring aid and assistance to those that are in diverse need. This is a chaplain, one that begins to express, one that begins to always, you know, begin to start implying, you know, some ideas and what can we do to make things better. And we're to sit there, and even there will come a time that you, even as being a chaplain, that you may have to go forward and bring some of those news like some of these soldiers had to do during the World War, that they sat there and had to go to some of their family members and just stand before their presence, and sometimes with even words to say, and let them know that there is a family member that fought in the war and no longer with them. This is chaplaincy. Chaplaincy, you might be able to carry, you know, that good news, that news to someone, you know, which is not that, you know, when you're carrying a message like that or conveying a message like that, this is something that God has entrusted in you to be able to provide the chaplaincy services. Now, some prefer to use pastoral care, you know, to refer for any services that are performed by either ordained or non-ordained person. You know, so we are to give this chaplaincy service. We are to give this service to those that are truly are in need. So this is a chaplain. Chaplaincy has developed, on my next slide, chaplaincy has developed a variety of specialized forms in its numerous settings: military, prisons, hospital, businesses. Chaplaincies, for instance, are generally viewed as distinct forms of specialized ministry with corresponding career tracks. You know, so this is what, you know, some of our chaplaincy are. You know, some of us make it a career, and they sit there and go forward and says, you know what, I want to, you know, I give you a prime example. We just had a gentleman that sat there and came to me and says, I'm going into the military, but I would like to become a chaplain. You know, so we instructed him and told him, okay, you need to go and speak to the recruiter. You know, let them know what is your interest, let them know what is you're planning to do, you know, and prepare yourself. So we begin to give them some training concerning chaplaincy and the importance of chaplaincy, their roles as a chaplain, and especially and foremost, you know, a chaplain in an interfaith environment, in which we'll be touching on that in a few. Now, some of the roles on the slide, as you see there, that are services that are provided by a chaplain, and the role and the responsibility of a chaplain. But before we go there, also, you know, as we're dealing, you know, with this hospital and prison and so forth chaplaincy, you know, I want you to understand that God has given us this mandate, you know, that we are to go forward, you know, and do the work of the ministry. You know, there's a scripture that kind of always sticks out to me concerning this. And it's a scripture that says in Matthew chapter 25 and verse 35 through 40, it says, for I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me. You took me in. You brought me together with yourselves and welcomed me and entertained, and you lodged me. You know, I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me with help and ministering care. I was in prison, and you came to see me. you know, and then, you know, this is what I want to share with you, because as a chaplain, and we are walking in this gift and this covering, or in this anointing by God to be a chaplain, to be able to service our community. Remember, the scriptures also teaches us that when he sent them out 2 by 2s, you know. So therefore, you know, that we are able to occupy. He says, what must we do? So we are to train them. We are to teach and make disciples and train them and teach them in the ways of the ministry. So the responsibilities of a chaplain is to perform ministry of presence. You know, it's always good, you know, people feel so good, you know, when they come and encounter, and you sit there and you introduce yourself to them and you let them know, well, my name is Chaplain, you know, so-and-so, and people feel so good, because now they feel the ministry presence of someone that's going to cater to their need. Remember, we came to fulfill need. We didn't come to seek the need. Very important. We came to cater to the need, not to seek the need. So in this, to perform the ministry of presence, it establishes a relationship of mutual trust and respect, while remaining sensitive at all times to the interpersonal difference which may exist, as well as to dignity of all individuals involved. This is something that's very important, because as a chaplain, you want to, whatever anyone may confine within you, you want to keep that personal. You know, if someone, you know, is going through a real diverse need, and, you know, all they needed was just you, you know, to speak to, and they want to share with you, you know, their cares and their concern, you know, you want to make sure that you remain that professionalism as a chaplain, and, you know, continue to build on the trust and the respect, you know, and you are to be sensitive to all situations. We are to be sensitive to all situations and to all individuals. Provide support and counsel. This is something that's very, very important, you know, to provide, you know, the support and the counsel. You know, Moses would not ever be able to bring the children of Israel out if Joshua and Aaron were not able, or Aaron were not able to hold his hands up. You know, every time he held his hands up, there was always victory. So we are also to show that support. Let the people know we're here to support you. We're here to hold your arms up. We're here to be by your side. We are sitting there. We're effectively gathered here today. We're listening. You know, that's one of your greatest tools, is you're listening. We'll get that to in a little bit as well. But we are to provide the support and the counsel. We are to effectively gather and interpret information relatively to counseling situation, offer comfort, encouragement, or others appropriate assistance in times of individual need. In times of individual need. Remember, Philippians 4:19 teaches us, and says that God will supply all your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. You know, so this is something that we have to relatively be able to, you know, be in that place that we are to know that we are to be able to relate, be able to, you know, to have the people's best of interest, and be able to give them that word of encouragement that they're seeking for, and that word of encouragement that they need to hear. You know, we have to provide them, you know, with that counsel, because this is something that I always sit there and I say, never stop doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their hearts, you know? So this is something that, you know, that you would never sit there and stop doing, you know, whether you are in the presence of the counseling or giving advice, or, you know, in any situation, you're showing them the comfort, you know, you're letting them know that you care, you're letting them know that you're there to be their support system, you're letting them know that your shoulders are there if they have a need to cry, or if they have a need to lean on, you know that there are others that are appropriate, you know, assistance in times of individual need. So know that, never stop doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their heart. You know, we rise up by lifting others. So let us be wise when we're dealing with people that are in diverse need, people that have need. You know, let us know that, you know, let them know that, you know what, I am here with you. You know, I will help to rise you up, you know, because I know that if I rise you up, you know, one day I'm going to be risen up myself. So we're dealing with that. So now the service and the responsibility, that we're dealing with here, as we're going to sit there and go ahead and progress. I hope that you're enjoying this at the moment. But the service and the responsibility of a chaplain is to recognize our own counseling limitations. Why do I say our own counseling limitations? If you're not a certified chaplain, that you have gone to your college, you have gone to college, you have taken your associates, your masters, your bachelor's, masters, and so forth in counseling, we have to be very limited in how we sit there, be able to go and counsel somebody else. We have to know our own limitation. And we are to facilitate referrals to the appropriate. In other words, something that we do, that when we sit there, we do our training, we always tell, and we try to go ahead. I don't know if Dr. KIWI KALLOO has done this already, but on the website, there should be, I don't know how many hotlines that will give professional help to those that are in diverse need. There is a limitation of the counseling. So, and facilitate referrals to the appropriate. So if we can facilitate, to the appropriate counselor, maybe a suicide counselor, maybe a drug counselor, and etc., that we can sit there and go ahead, or alcoholism counselor, that we can refer them to the appropriate care, giving professionalism such as social workers, that we could send them to any social worker, a psychologist, medical services, or others specifically trained, which are in the faith leaders and etc., because there are some faith leaders, that do have some of these qualifications under their belts, that they can offer this in a professional way. So PowerPoint.
I do. Everything is set. You're on. Just bear with me one moment, everyone. We are just working with the we're working with this video only because we got caught up. Dr. Olivencia could not make it into the one moment for me, okay? Sorry about that, everyone. We're gonna get started right back up. We'll talk about it with Dr. Steele also, but thank you very much. Else is hearing you, but I cannot hear you.
Is to perform the ministry of presence.
I can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So So where I left off at, it was the farthest we went to was the service provided by a chaplain.
Yes.
That's okay. So, so we're gonna go ahead and pick it back up on there. The service provided by a chaplain and the roles and the responsibilities of a chaplain is to perform the ministry of presence. One of the things is, as I mentioned, I don't know if you guys got to hear what I was sitting there saying, that as far as the the relationship, or the ministry of presence is something that it's really good, because a lot of people that are dealing, they may want to speak to a chaplain, and your presence alone will really change the whole circumstance and the whole situation, concerning the chaplaincy. So a chaplain is one who establishes a relationship of mutual trust and respect. One of the things also when you're dealing with different people within the community or any different institution, you always want to develop the trust, the respect, and you want to remain sensitive, at all times, to the interpersonal differences which may exist, because there's some things that they may be, to them may be classified, that they may want to share with you, that they may want to speak with you. You have to be sensitive to the situation, sensitive to the individual, so they could sit there and develop that trust and that respect, with you, as well as the dignity of all individuals that are involved. It may be a husband and a wife, or it may be, a group of elders and so forth. They may want to speak with you concerning a certain situation. Always remember to maintain it professional and also be very sensitive to the situation. So a chaplain also provides support and counsel. As I was mentioning earlier about counsel or counseling, we have to be very mindful, because if you're going to give anybody, if you're going to counsel anyone, make sure that you are already a certified counselor by profession, that you're able to give, the counsel, appropriate counsel. But if not, let us be mindful and be able to, offer some advice to the person or persons, or individuals that may need some words of advice and so forth. So also, as the responsibility, you must be effectively gather and interpret information relative to the counseling situation, offer comfort, encouragement, or other appropriate assistance in the times of individual needs. There will be people that will come to you that they may have a specific need, that they may want to, sometimes there are people that will come to you with their need. And if you sit there, you got to, there was something that a wise man said to me. He said, if you teach me how to fish with a net, I'll catch a whole lot of fish. But if you teach me how to fish with a pole, I'm only going to catch one fish. So I'd rather, be able to say, you know what, I have to get to a place, that when I'm dealing with different people and I'm being there for them, or if I may contribute anything, also teach them how to fish, teach them how to operate and walk in faith, and teach them that God will also help them meet, their need. So, you want to make sure that you offer the appropriate advice, or any recommendations that you may give, that you may have, that you could refer someone maybe to a psychologist, or, a social worker, or someone of medical services, and so forth, but it's better if you could train them and teach them also how to walk in faith, how to walk by faith and not by sight. Also, contribute to the problem-solving process through making appropriate recommendations based on the training and the experience. So we want to make sure that, we are also be able to offer any solutions to any problem that someone may come with, that we could sit there and say, we're going to give them, the best advice that we can concerning this situation. Take responsibility for provision and form of all religious celebration and observance, ensuring insofar as able, so as able as you can, so we know that there are many different faiths that, people do practice. We have Judaism, we have Islam, so we have many different types of faith, so we, it's always good to know, their celebrations and their days and their times of their observings, so that we're able to appropriate, access some of the worships, so, you want to make sure that, that you appropriate everything, because when you're in an interfaith environment, or you are in an institution where there are institutionalized chaplains that are of various different faiths, you have to know how to operate, how to function, and how to work with them, to be able to give them the appropriate advice, So they could be able to say, you know what, if we have someone of Catholic faith, we have someone of that are of the Judaism faith, or we have someone that of the Muslim faith, that we could sit there and say, you know what, we're going to give them access. They have the observance days and the celebrations. So that way we can, because every time, so I'll just give you an example. If you go to a hospital and you'll feel led to go to the hospital and pray for the sick, understand that not everyone that is in a sick bed is looking for a Protestant or is looking for a faith leader. Because some of them may want an imam, some of them may want a Catholic priest, or and so forth. So this is how they receive some of their pastoral care. So it's afforded to individuals and their families, regardless of their religious faith or expression. So we don't want to sit there and say we're going to just limit it, because if we have various different faiths operating and functioning together, as one, that you could sit there and say, well, you know what, there's a Catholic man there, but don't put them aside, just because they're Catholic and you're not. Let's embrace everyone. Let's show the embracement of the Lord, and let's let them see the love of God within us. So also we have to advocate for the provision of appropriate time, space, and means for individuals' worship and spiritual needs. So there comes times, a lot of times, in the institutions, they have their space where they could go do some worship. The hospitals have their separate quarters where they go do worship, for all different faiths. Also in the prisons, as I have my experience sharing in the prisons and so forth, normally they do have their different institutionalized chaplains from different faiths, but then sometimes, they come and they are able to gather together for worship, but they have different settings at different timings. They want to make sure that everybody's need concerning to their faith is being provided for. So we also are to promote the spiritual well-being of all, regardless of their faith and expression. So this is something that we must do, and this is the responsibility for chaplain, which is provided by a chaplain. Also, it advises his or her superior on matters of religious accommodation. This is what we say the chaplains, are the fingers of the palm that help gather to put everything together, to be able to carry the work of the ministry. So when we're doing that, we are to help our leaders. We should ask our leaders, what is the vision that God has given you? So we are able to go out and function as extension of the body to go forward into our communities and reach those in the communities and share the cares and the concerns in the communities, so let them know what is it that you're doing. Always operate under the vision of your leader. If you want vision, you must help fulfill vision. Also, we are to conduct all public and volunteer services in accordance with the institutional and directives. So this is something, we as we go out there publicly, voluntarily, take a note of where you went, where you have been, so you can also do follow-ups, and, whether it's in a hospital, prisons, whether it's in the police department, whether it's the fire department, wherever you are led to go, always, go and speak, with the directive, those that are en route over you, for they pray and they watch over your soul. Conduct it with them. Let them know you're led to go into this different vein here to be able to reach the Lord and be able to bring hope to a place of despair, a place that may be perplexed or crushed, that you are able to bring that hope to them, So it's always good to check with the directives that are over you, so they can tell you, if you're going that way, okay, and let them give you the vision, let them give you the plan, so then that way you can go ahead and put it together and you can begin to go forward in a professional way and demonstrate the integrity, of a vocation or a professional knowledge confidentially and credibility. Because everything that you do, you want to make sure you are credible for, and that you're confidentially, when you are speaking with anyone, you can keep that as a confidential, but get the guidance of your leader. So you are to display a high level of motivation and professionalism by maintaining integrity and credibility. Always remember that when you go out there as a chaplain, some chaplains wear uniforms, some just wear, a shirt just to be able to distinguish who they are. You know, some chaplains are considered in so many different aspects. They are considered to be first responders, that they will go out and respond to various different situations. The word chaplain, I mean, this is something, chaplaincy is very broad because there is no limitation of what a chaplain is able to do. There's no limitation. We are the modern day evangelists going out into all the world and teaching and making disciples. This is what we're called to do, so that we are to also make sure that we maintain that integrity. We are to make sure that everything that we do, that our credibility will not be hindered or smashed by anything that may not sit there. Like the credibility can be crushed. You know, if we go forward, you know, that's why I say, you know, if you're not a certified social worker or you're not a certified psychologist and so forth, you know, you want to counsel, but if you're not certified by that, you know, I would advise that you will give some advice versus giving counseling. You know, so we are to also read and adhere to and indicate an understanding direction of her or his superior. We also ought to respect the confidentiality of all who place their trust in the chaplain. This is very crucial. This is very, very important. You know, as I sit now, you know, as I've been sitting now, but now it has been very evidently that, you know, now I have been issued the title to be NYPD clergy liaison, and as I serve for the police department, I am the chief's liaison. I'm the 3-star chief liaison, in which God graced me and placed me in that position. There are things that he speaks to me in confidentiality that I cannot share with no man. I cannot share, not even with their spouse, with his spouse, or, you know, his children and so forth, because these are things that he has developed a trust in me, that everything he confides in me, I must keep to myself. Because there are situations and there are things that they wish they can talk to the department, but they can't. Because if someone that is part of an institution, whether it's police, fire department, hospital, or whatever, you know, institution that they may be part or service of, you know, that they may be going through an issue and they go forward and they sit there and try to speak even to their superiors, you know, or those that are above, like the commissioner, you know, and so forth, or the deputy commissioner, things like that. So if my chief was to go and say, well, I'm going to go speak to my commissioner, or I'm going to go speak to the deputy commissioner, or the 4-star chief, because I'm only a 3-star, so I got to go to everything that's above me. And if he was to go and speak to some of the things that he might be dealing with or going through, you know, and speak to them, he could lose his job, because automatically they will sit there and say he's unfit for the job. So there are things that if you are operating or working within an institution, or you want to volunteer within that vein to go into the prison ministry or hospitals and things like that, there are people that are even from the job that would rather speak to a chaplain that is not part of their institution, or speak with another chaplain, because they figure if I speak to them, I know that whatever I say, it must stay confidential with them, so I cannot go, not even to the department chaplain. You know, so these are things that you know, that they won't sit there and go and do. So whatever they speak with you, out of respect, out of the trust that they built with you, you must be confidential. An effective chaplain is a mentor to others. You know, I always love this, because a leader will always make other leaders. You know, so an effective chaplain is a mentor to others. In other words, you know, I can make other chaplains, I can make other leaders. So the chaplains act as confessor for those who have fallen short of their own or others' expectations. You know, so, you know, there's a lot of times, you know, the chaplains, you know, they, you know, we confess certain things, we say certain things and so forth and everything, but we also have to be the protector of those that have fallen short. You know, it always comes to mind, you know, that when we, you know, when we sit there and we look, you know, that sometimes there's there's a chaplain or there's a pastor or there's someone within the fivefold ministry, you know, where there's an apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, or teacher, you know, they might have fallen short. You know, we try to stay with that a little bit, you know, confidential and try to help them up, because as we help them up and we help to rise them up, and, you know, it is our responsibility to be able to lift others. So this is why we do. And these are some of the services that are provided by a chaplain. The chaplain can contribute to the health and wellness of others by fulfilling a number of roles. The chaplain can act as a reconciler, one who meditates, advocates, mediator, and conflict manager. And a lot of times I give you a perfect example. We have, you know, within the police department, you know, we have a couple of people that, you know, are kind of going at it one after another, and they, you know, they going at it, you know, and they have a lot of disagreements. You know, they try to, you know, try to bully one another and so forth and everything. And, you know, many times I have to step in the way, you know, to be the mediator. You know, I have to sit there and be the advocate and be like, you know what, this is not the way we do it. We have to reason together. You know, we have to be able to work together as a team. We're wearing the same uniform. We're fighting the same warfare. But sometimes, you know, not even the same warfare, because sometimes they might fight various different warfares. You know, so this is something that we must understand, you know, that as a chaplain, you know, we're there to try to bring and reconcile people back together. You know, I just had an incident that I just had one of the police officers who says, you know, Pastor, I'm tired right now and I am so depressed. I am so depressed that I cannot even trust my gun. Now imagine someone sitting there telling you something like that. You know, I'm depressed. I feel like I'm all by myself. I feel like I'm all alone. I feel like everybody betrayed me. I feel like I can't trust anybody, you know, but something told me to call you and I'm calling you now, you know, and just to sit there and see what you will sit there and tell me. So I had to sit there and play that silent moment and just to be a good listener. Listen to what he had to say, you know, and one of the very things I sat there and I told him, I said, I never look down on anybody, you know. And this is something that we must do as chaplains. Never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. You know, so I was in the situation and I said, you know what, I have to help because he is also a faith believer, but yet he was going through some struggles and dealing with certain situations. So, you know, so with that, I have to keep that also confidential. I cannot share that, you know, with anybody. I could share it with you because you don't know who I'm speaking about, but you know, if you've received any information like that, you know that, you know, you can't share certain things with certain people. It's very important. Is everyone still there? Are you hearing me?
Yes, Bishop. Going very well. Doing
Okay,
very well.
Yes, we're here. We can hear you.
Praise God.
Yes.
So the chaplain's role in a domestic operation, historically, chaplains have been called upon. Chaplains always been called. Chaplain, there's not one in the police department. Instead of them calling you chaplains, they'll call you Chappie. Hey, Chappie, I need you, Chappie. I need to speak with you, Chappie. Is their own terminology as trying to reach out to a chaplain. But historically, chaplains have been called upon to provide assistance in the wake of several significant humanitarian emergencies, and these include, and I know Dr. Madhu and the leadership last Monday, I know that he was sharing, you know, concerning the disasters and the hurricanes and the tornadoes, but I'm not going to touch too much of that because I know that he's going to deal within that topic a little bit later on. But historically, it has been proven that the chaplains have been in assistance, you know, in humanitarian emergencies, that this includes the natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, severe winter weather, forest fires, and earthquakes. Now, I give you, we had here, we did have hurricanes that came, you know, through the United States, and you know, we had different various different you know, weathers that really sat there and paralyzed our city just for a moment. That many people lost their houses, It was a tremendous disaster. We had to build and gather together, with the chaplains and so forth. And, we had to go out and we had to feed families. We had to help build some shelters. And, we did various of different things, that we had to go out. In Hurricane Katrina, we had chaplains that went out, so we had and also in Alabama, when they had also the hurricane that was out there and the tornadoes, there was chaplains that was out there that was assisting the family members, that was assisting them, that was bringing them water, food to eat, shelter, generators, so there were various different things that, historically this had been provided by chaplains. But then we also remember, I'll never forget the other disaster that we had that it really crippled our nation was our 9/11, the terrorist attack, which caused fires, causing loss of property and life, cars, accidents, and plane crashes. So we were paralyzed for a good while, concerning our terror attacks. But I can recollect the moment that during the 9/11, we had ended up going to what it was called, is now called the Ground Zero. In Ground Zero, that you saw the way that our infrastructure was struck down, our buildings came collapsing down, like, it was just like a wind that just blew over, and the windows came down. You see people, they were jumping out of windows, people flying out of windows. You see bodies under the debris, and there were people that, we had chaplains, we had first responders, we had police department, fire department. They came from various different cities and states. They came to help out our crippling effects that we had experienced in New York City, something that has never happened before. And our nation was violated by terrorist attack that they had called. And I can recollect that there were so many clergies that were in Ground Zero, digging up the debris and looking for bodies that were already dead. It was a horrific scene that I don't think that nobody belonged to be in that scene the way we were attacked, the way we suffered. It really crippled us. So we went there, we gave our support to our mayor's office, we gave our support to our council and Congress leaders, we gave support to humanity, we gave our support, and we were able to sit down and cry by the side of some of the family members that lost either their mother, their father, their uncles, their nieces, so there were a lot of families that were lost, and not just there, but also in Pennsylvania, and also, over by the Capitol. We felt the pain of our nation. Our nation, the debris was crying out. I thought about when the Bible says that, from ashes to ashes and from dust to dust, because even by the time you came to see some of these bodies, that's what it was, dust. We had to sit down and see some of the family members just grabbing some of the that went down and able to go down. They grabbed some debris and just held the debris and saved some of the debris, because there was like, this could be my mother, this could be my father, my brother, my sister, my niece, my uncle, my aunt. So we were able to be there to give that moral, that spiritual support that our nation needed during that time of infiltration. So the chaplain's role in a domestic operation is to support the first response providers, without the civilians, the police, the fire, and the emergency, the medical services. I remember even during that time, my wife is a nurse, and she was working downtown Manhattan during that moment that we sat there and became crippled, and when I sat there and I ran down to Ground Zero, and I began searching and looking until I was able to hear the voice of my wife. But not everybody heard their voice. Not everybody heard the voice of their loved ones or those that they had lost. But yet we had to still be there for them, encourage them, pray for them, understand their need. See, understand something, my beloved people that are listening here tonight. Understand that as a chaplain, you're not here to tell the people what is your need. You're here to help people meet their self-need. So it requires that the chaplains be available. We must be available. We must be available to answer the call of a chaplain, but we also choose their moments of intervention wisely. so as not to interfere with the works of emergency services or personnel. So in other words, when we are in operation as a chaplain to those that are in diverse need, and we may be engaging within the police department, the fire department, the medical services, and so forth, understand something, because we often kind of train this. And as a chaplain, I advise that you become certified with CPR, first aid, and AED. It's very important, because God forbid, if you are in a situation that you may need to be certified, as a CPR and AED and first aid, that you are there to be able to help out the personnel. But once the personnel reaches there, whether it's anyone from the first responders, as I mentioned prior, you should move out of the way as a chaplain and let them proceed with their assignment. I always tell chaplains, make sure that you carry a little notepad with a little pen. You take some notation, you take some notes, because just in case, if you're in a situation, you should be able to describe what has happened in the situation or during that moment. So the skills of a chaplain can be invaluable in communicating with civilians and civilian faith communities in a disaster situation. So if you're in a situation like that, then you should be able to have the little notepad, take some information down, that those that may come that are from the community, that those may be some council members, assembly, some people of importance of office, that they may come down to the situation, you're able to share the information. You're able to share with them the situation. What did you see? What you saw in the occurrence of what happened and what just transpired. Doctor, how much time I have left?
Bishop, we have exactly 6 minutes remaining. When that 6 minutes is expired, I'm just going to ask everyone to log back in so we can end with a prayer and just maybe say hello to everyone, and we'll reconvene on the next session.
Right. Well, anybody, you know what, then we can do that, because the next setting that I have, I'm going to be discussing chapter 3, the ministry and interfaith environment and disaster spiritual care, and the chaplains in numerous settings. So I guess that we could sit there and do that now if you like, or if anybody has any questions, that we can sit there, may want to add some questions, or, and we could sit there and go ahead and conclude, and we'll pick this up on the following week.
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. That's fine. So when we set back up for the next session, we'll set up the room so we won't have interference anymore.
Wonderful.
So you want to finish up what you were saying there, Bishop?
Yes, I was saying, that we could, we can sit there and we can conclude this into the next time, which we will discuss in the chaplain in an interfaith environment. We can pick it up on next week, and if anybody may have any questions or, anything that they may like to add or anything they would like to say, we could take this moment now and open the floor.
All right. Blessings, everyone. Let me just. Okay. Thank you, everyone. My apologies. Dr. Olivencia is going to actually come on in a few minutes. He's driving, but he is going to come on. And he does apologize for his inability to be here tonight. He had to go to Pennsylvania and got stuck in traffic, driving back to New York. Nevertheless,
that will do it.
Yes, sir. Or you're out there, you would know.
Praise the Lord and God bless everyone.
Oh, here he is.
I apologize for this moment and this moment of this transition here. I'm sitting there driving, but nonetheless, I would like to say greetings to everyone from far and near. It is an honor and a privilege to see so many wonderful men and women of God that are really taking this new embarkment that we are embarking in our nation and our world and across the globe, dealing with the chaplaincy. So I bring my greetings to you. I truly do apologize for not being able to tune in with you on tonight, but definitely by the grace of God, by next week, I will definitely be on the phone and on the Zoom with you gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen of faith, that I will definitely be on with you guys, and we could have a little bit of fun discussing what is a chaplain in the interfaith environment and so forth. And from my understanding, you guys played the videos from the last previous sessions that we did have. So I pray that everybody received some information and you was informed and that you were enlightened, with the words of, what it is to be a chaplain and the importance of being a chaplain. In the times that we live in right now, we definitely need more chaplains than ever before. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you.
And gives them a competitive offer that won't change for 7 days. An offer that they can put toward their new car. Some people can't believe our friendly advocate will come to them as soon as tomorrow, drop off their new ride and whisk their old one away. Because we make trading your car unbelievably easy.
Someone has the video?
Bishop.
Yes, Doctor.
All right. So the video, we did stream the video for the last training session. We ended at the same point. And I think everyone does understand that you were unable to make it tonight. But we certainly appreciate you taking a moment to come on. We have several new folks on tonight and in different parts of the world.
Yes. I think we have Bishop Joseph is on there as well. Greetings,
Yes.
Bishop.
Smith said about voting on Sunday, basically saying that you shouldn't be able to vote on Sunday because that's the day to praise God.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, so Bishop Lamont is on also. We have several of the people that was there before. We have most of the chiefs who were there before.
Yes.
Joe Biden.
Chaplaincy session would be on Thursday at 6 p.m.
Okay, Thursday, 6 p.m.
All right, thank you all. Thanks, panel. Thank you for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Fox News Primetime, hosted by Brian Kilmeade, starts right now.
All right, and we have Dr. Damien line also. Dr. Damien, can you come on for 1 second?
I'll take it from Mr. T. Rocky. Hey. All right. Hi, everybody. Brian Kilmeade here. Welcome to Fox News Primetime.
Evening. We have a lot of people though have their phones on mute.
64 degrees.
Greetings, everyone.
Hello.
Greetings.
Peace.